Hi guys, so today I want to talk about Stephanie Mirro's Wings of Deceit. This is book 6 in her 7-book Last Phoenix series. This book blew me away. Okay, first off, I want to say Stephanie, amazing. Like, book 5 is still my favorite, but book 6 has dragons, you guys. Dragons. Okay, so we start off, Veronica and Thane are in Miami. Lena is there. They're happy. They're spending time together. They do end up going to the Alpha's house because during the vampire trials that Veronica took part in book 5, there was a werewolf who was partaking in the trials, and I thought that was kind of weird, and they wanted to make sure that the Alpha was aware. And so they popped in, saw Tabitha, were talking to the Alpha about it, and Ivan pops in. Now we do get a little glimpse back in Veronica's realm. Everything's on fire, and there's a golden dragon that is lighting everything on fire, and Ivan pops up, and he's burned, and he's severely injured, and so they take him back to the DEA, and there he is taken to the hospital wing, and he's healed. And when he's healed enough to speak, he tells Veronica that there are dragons and that they're attacking everybody, and she's like, why are the dragons attacking? Like, what is going on? And of course, then she remembers that only the Phoenix Queen could keep the dragons at bay, and so she starts blaming herself. And so she's she's really struggling with this, and she wants Thane and she wants Ivan to take her back to her realm so that she can confront the dragons. And they both want her to wait. They want her to let Ivan and Lena go back and scout ahead and see what's going on, getting her more information, and then come back to get her. So she agrees to this. In the meantime, Kit is doing some research for her because Jackson Reed, her brother's murderer, broke out of prison. And so she asks Kit to track him down so that she can, confront him, maybe beat him up a bit, arrest him, probably kill him for what he did to her brother. So Kit finds him. And this happens after Ivan and Lena have left. Thane and Veronica are in her penthouse. Kit messages her, gives her the address where she found him. He's staying with a demon. Veronica decides to head over there while Thane's sleeping. I'll just pop out to handle it, come back, no big deal. She gets there, she starts beating him up. Of course, the demon is not like your normal everyday demon. He's like, don't break my furniture kind of thing. Kind of a really cool, laid back guy. You feel bad for him, really. And she starts, she's beating Lena to Jackson, and she realizes he's not jumping, and he didn't leave because he's got iron. The iron prevents, them from using their magic, everyone in the community. And so she's, okay, fine. So she goes and she removes his iron shackles, and under the agreement that he will take her back to her realm. And she figures she'll text Thane, he'll know where she's at, kind of thing. So he agrees, and then takes her before she has a chance to tell anybody, and abandons her, like leaves her where they jump and takes off. And so now she's like, well, crap, what am I supposed to do, right? So she decides she's gonna, get her bearings, figure out what's going on. And that's when she sees that Sokol is on fire, you guys, fire. So she transforms into a phoenix, and she starts flying around, and a black dragon starts chasing her, and she freaks out, and she tries to escape to the forest, and she almost makes it, and he catches her, burns her. Now, one thing we have to remember is that the only thing that can kill phoenixes, that give them a true death, is a phoenix fire or dragon fire, and he burns her bad. She is screaming, it knocks her unconscious. When she wakes up, she's in a room with other women, and they're all shackled with iron, and it turns out they're all also phoenixes, and the dragons are looking for the Phoenix Queen. And of course, once she starts talking, they recognize her and they're like, no, don't tell them who you are. Da, da, da. But Veronica is not one to wait. She doesn't have patience. She's not going to wait for anything. She's going to figure it out herself. So when the dragon leader comes in, she confronts him, informs him of who she is. And he basically tells her, you're a traitor. And she's like, what? Wait. I didn't even know I was a queen until like a month ago. So how can I be a traitor? Like, what is going on here? To break it down easily, the dragon stone that she used to bring Thane back to life was a gift from the dragons to her grandmother, under the agreement that if the stone was ever used, the granddaughter would be the mate for the dragons that would produce their heir, their dragon baby heir. Come to find out, she's got a tiny bit of dragon in her. This commingling has happened in the past. And so she ended up, not quite sure what she was going to do about it. She decided, that what she had a mate. And it would be excruciatingly painful for her to, hang on one second. Sorry about that, kids. Anyways, so she decides that what she's going to do is not cooperate. And she basically tells them that. She says, look, I have a mate. Here's my bonded mark. Like, any attempts to do this is going to be excruciatingly painful for me. And the dragons basically tell her, too bad, so sad. There's going to be a competition. The dragon princes, which are this dragon king's sons, are all going to compete for your hand, and whoever wins is who will mate with you. And she's totally against this whole forced mating thing. Like, it's super creepy. It's super weird to her, right? And so and of course, one of the guys that's in the room, Romid, total asshole. Like, yeah, he's hot, which she openly admits he's hot, but he is a douchebag. And all he does is talk about how she's wrong and she's wronged them. And she's like, I didn't even know. I was saving my mate. I had no idea. No one had told me. My mother didn't tell me. I didn't know any of this. And she's kind of upset with her grandmother for making a deal with her own life, that she didn't have a choice in. And of course, then it also boils down to the question of, who's to say that this is even going to work? The dragons need her because they are decimated by an illness that not only caused their women to not have babies, but it killed all of their women. All their dragon women are gone. There's only the men left. And apparently they had attempted to mate with phoenix women before, and it hadn't worked. And so now they're like, well, maybe the illness also made us sterile. We don't know. They're hoping that Veronica is like their last ditch effort because she's part dragon and she's phoenix. They're hoping that will help maybe make it work. Who knows, right? Well, she's kicking and screaming the whole way. Of course, Thane has woken up and realized that Veronica's gone, so he realm walks. And it's very dangerous for him to do this because he's never been there before. He could possibly die. He could end up in the Ether and never escape. So he realm walks and ends up in the palace, thanks to Veronica's excellent drawings and descriptions, which is falling off a cliff and on fire. So he falls out of a window, smashes his shoulder. Pretty sure, like, in the time with the pain and stuff, he's pretty sure he's injured his shoulder, But when he finally is able to, like, take a minute and count his injuries, his shoulder's not as injured as he thought. And he's like, oh, well, okay. I didn't hit it as hard as I thought I did. Save that thought for later. That's important. He ends up in Haven. He finds Ivan and he finds Lena, and they're super surprised to see him, but no one is surprised that Veronica did what she did. Now they have to figure out how to get her out. So it boils down to, she goes to dinner. They invite her to dinner. She actually finds out that there's another Phoenix woman there. And remember, in one of the previous books, Peter had mentioned that his mother had gone to the dragons and had never come back. And guess who is there? Rainbow eyes and all. It's Peter's mother. And what it turns out is that his father was not her bonded mate. He was someone that, yes, she cared about and she had a child with, but she actually mated, her flame chose a dragon, and she's been with him ever since. But they haven't had any children. So again, everyone's hedging their bets on it being Veronica. So she goes to this dinner, and it's with, and she's with the king and his, and who she's assuming are his sons. Romid is one of them, and she's kind of really super disgusted by that. And they're talking, and she keeps trying to tell them, I'm not who you want to marry. I'm not who you want to produce babies with. Like, this is not going to work well for you. I will fight and claw the whole time. And of course, the Dragon King is just kind of like, you're going to cooperate. Your people you care about them, kind of thing. And one of the sons mentions something, but he never gets to finish. Like, he's like, well, there is another way, and it gets like completely swept under the rug. Okay. So she's forced to watch this trial. She's forced to watch them fight. Romid actually ends up being the golden dragon, and he defeats all the other dragons and kills the last one. His father was pretty upset about that. Like, that was pretty messed up. You shouldn't have done that, kind of thing. There is a point where Veronica manages to escape. She manages to get out, and she takes Romid down, beats him up, almost makes it to the exit, and they capture her with like this cool wire thing and drag her back inside, and we can't trust her, kind of, and so she does manage to convince Peter's mother to get a message out to her Aunt Sasha for help, to let her know where she's at, what's going on. And so Romid wins, and Veronica tries one last ditch effort. She thinks she knows what made them sterile. She thinks she knows what caused all of this for them. And she tells the king that. She says, this is a curse. She was like, it has to be. It has to be a curse. She was like, it's not an infection. It's not. She's like, this definitely smells like a curse. And in this universe, the only beings who can cast curses are the Fae. So Veronica's thinking it's William. William had to have cast this curse on them when he was working with Galena. That's because Galena needed the dragons out of the way so that she could take over the phoenixes. That's the only thing that makes sense. But this happened 30 years before Galena showed up, like their infertility and stuff. And so Veronica was like, and starts talking about William, and they were like, no, it's not William. And when they described the Fae, it's Colin. Colin has been planning this for forever. So then Veronica wants to figure out who it is that woke them up, because somebody woke up the dragons. On top of that, Ivan gets captured, gets brought in, and of course now they're threatening Veronica with, if you don't cooperate, we're going to kill Ivan. So now she's in an even bigger bind. Of course, Ivan's telling her don't do it, but Veronica doesn't think like that. He reminds her way too much of Maddox for her to let anything happen to him. So then she decides that she demands to see the man who woke up the dragons, the phoenix who woke them up. And it's Adric. It's the guy that turned on her, right? And so she's, berating him, and he tells her, well, they have my daughter. You don't understand. And she does understand why he did what he did, but she still doesn't forgive him or agree with his methods. So she ends up, children. She ends up, at the end of all of this, convincing the Dragon King to go after Colin instead. She's like, I can help you get to him. Ivan can roam walk. My mate can roam walk. We can get to him. Like, we can, and we have to warn Adam and the DEA. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so then she gets the king convinced, agreed. He agrees with her that instead of them mating, forcing her to mate with them, she will help them break the curse. They're going to go after Colin. It's the only way that they can lift the curses. They have to get the person who cast it. Well, Roma doesn't take to that too kindly. He decides that it is his right to have her because he won, and he challenges his father, and they battle in dragon form. Roman eventually loses. His dad basically tears his wing off, right? And Veronica is like, okay, so I'm going to be free. We're going to get to work together. And then the Phoenixes attack. And everybody's like, oh, she betrayed us, blah, blah, blah. And they like lock her up. And it's a whole thing. It turns out she actually is released by, I guess he would be Peter, not really Peter's stepdad. I don't know if like marriages work that way in this realm, but it's Peter's mother's mate, releases her. And they had mentioned earlier that he was special. Well, he's special because he's blind and he gets visions. And he told Veronica that he had a vision, and that it was pertaining to her and that she had, choices to make, and he let her go. So she gets out. And of course she sees Thane on the battlefield and she's freaking out because Thane's gonna, he's gonna die, except something weird is happening to Thane. So he's fighting with his scythe because he still, knows how to fight like a reaper. And when he gets injured, these black scale things appear. Now, someone did mention to Veronica that sometimes when phoenixes bond, their mates do take on personality traits or magical abilities that their mate had. And so it appears that Thane is inheriting some of Veronica's dragon blood that she didn't even know she had. And it's making him more impervious to wounds and stuff, which is super cool. But there's, and Veronica, gets this overwhelming sense of just purity, right? And flashes out her phoenix fire wings and comes down to the battlefield, and everyone stops as she's walking and staring at her. Well, it turns out that it's not her they're staring at. Her god, and I think it's Dazabug, is behind her and like totally gives her his blessing and tells them that they need to stop fighting and that they have another destiny. And it just kind of, he blesses her, basically, is what happens, and it just kind of eases the battle. It basically stops the battle. Roman doesn't want to stop battling, but he doesn't really get a say. He gets stabbed. But so then they're able to, and Roman dies. Thane kills him, and so they basically come to a consensus. They're talking. Obviously the fighting has displeased the gods and they need to work this out. And they still, what they ultimately want from her, since they realize now that getting her to breed with them is not going to work, because she already has a mate and she's absolutely against it. They want her child. And they don't just want her child as in, oh yeah, you'll raise her and we'll take her when she's old enough. They want to take her child after she's born and keep her and raise her among the dragons. Thane is not okay with that. It upsets him a lot. And Veronica now realizes the predicament that her grandmother was in when she made this agreement for Veronica. And so she's trying to figure out a way around this, and they do agree that they're going to go after Colin together, and they are going to fight together for that. But the thing that upsets her is giving up her child. And I'm trying to remember if I remember correctly. It's kind of one of those things where they're like, we will decide. If I remember correctly, the son who now would be the mate refuses. It's the one who said that there was another way, and he refuses. He decides that he doesn't want that, right? And the father is like, "You're within your rights to claim," and he said he doesn't want it. And that was something that had really bothered Thane, was giving up her child, because it would ultimately be Thane's child as well. Of course, among all of this, what she doesn't realize is, and forgot, the full moon has passed. Kit had to go to her mother, and Veronica wasn't there to be there for her. So I'm looking for the final book to have a lot of stuff go down. We're going to have to go after Colin, and we're going to have to go rescue Kit from her evil mother. Veronica had talked to her at one point, and or Thane had talked to her, and she had basically done a whole, oh, I'm okay. But there was like a little rift between her and Angela, because Angela was upset about what was going on. And so now I'm worried that like it's not Kit they're talking to, not in full control of her faculties, and that it's her mother talking through her and controlling her. So I'm really excited to see what happens next, and I can't wait to read book 7. But that was Wings of Deceit by Stephanie Mirro, and if you haven't read the series, you really need to. Happy reading!